we give the Minister of Finance a chance because I don't see the lunch ready. And I think let us let the minister come to the podium to present further.
Your Excellency, First Vice President, Your Excellency Vice President, Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, the national ministers, governors, and chief administrators, with a special recognition to the host governor, General Jadala, and maybe also a special recognition of my own governor, General Dongrin. And by the way, all governors are my governors, so forgive me. The state ministers, the national and state members of parliament, representative of diplomatic corps and UN agencies, the head of independent constitutional institution, all the participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Your Excellency, allow me to ask my team, to introduce my team to rise wherever they are, led by my brand new Deputy Minister, the Undersecretary and the senior team. Please be seated. Your Excellency, yes, there are many. There is the Deputy Minister, George Anyak, and the Undersecretary for Planning, Benjamin Ayale, and the rest. With your permission,
go ahead.
Let me proceed. I was doing this just in case some people think the Minister of Finance is a bad guy. I'm not alone. These guys should also be. Yeah. But on a light note, we are a very nice people. Your Excellency, it is my great honor to address you today at the 8th Governors Forum as we gather to discuss issues pertinent to our country's progress. While our nation faces significant economic difficulties, we are also exerting efforts to restore stability and shared prosperity. Since independence, South Sudan has experienced formidable challenges on the path to economic stability. The 2012 oil production shutdown, stemming from post-independent dispute with Sudan, triggered severe economic contraction. This was compounded by our internal conflicts in 2013 and 2016, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Recent years brought new crises, including devastating floods linked to climate change, which have damaged infrastructure and reduced agricultural output. The ongoing conflict in Sudan saw influx of refugees and returnees and disruption of oil infrastructure. Together, these factors have intensified economic slowdown, weakened the exchange rate, driven inflation, and increased physical pressures amid declining revenues. I know I have painted a bleak picture of our current economic situation, but it is just an illustration of another obstacle and difficulty that we as South Sudanese can surely overcome. Our undeterred spirit and resilience drove us to achieve one of the greatest feats of human struggle for freedom and liberty in the world in the 21st century. We managed to achieve the long-held dream of our forefathers and mothers for self-determination against significant opposition and terrible odds. I am confident that we can summon the same resilience to collectively steer our economy back to growth path. To achieve that, we have taken some steps in the immediate and medium term to attain macroeconomic stability. And we are pursuing more far-reaching reform that I would like to briefly outline next. Restoring macroeconomic stability. The Ministry of Finance and Planning has taken significant steps to restore macroeconomic stability in light of the current economic landscape. Key among these actions are the targeted investments in the agricultural and mining sectors in the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. Increasing investment in these essential areas is critical for diversifying the economy and minimizing risks associated with over-reliance on oil sector by boosting food security, stabilizing market prices, and increasing export capacities. These sectors can diversify the economy and reduce reliance on oil revenues. In addition, we have taken firm and deliberate actions to hold deficit financing, recognizing its detrimental impact on our economy in form of inflationary pressures, unsustainable debt accumulation, and the erosion of fiscal stability. These measures aim to ensure that the government spending aligns with the actual revenue collection to promote financial discipline, restore confidence in our economy, and create a more stable foundation for future growth. Your Excellency, more generally, we are supporting government-wide efforts to enhance access to quality education and vocational training, which are critical to preparing the workforce with the skills needed to meet market demands. Implementing these proactive human capital development strategies can position us well to drive a robust economic recovery and lay a solid foundation for economic growth and long-term resilience against future external shocks. Fiscal year 2024-2025 budget blueprint. The budget approved by Parliament and assented to by His Excellency the President underscores the government commitment to addressing key priorities, including timely financial transfers to subnational levels of government. Effective implementation of budgetary measures is essential for sustaining government operations and ensuring equitable allocation of resources across our regions. Key highlights of the budget emphasize funding, humanitarian assistance, emergency relief, and social services. The allocations reflect the government prioritization of urgent needs, particularly in vulnerable communities facing economic hardships, displacement, and natural disasters. By investing in healthcare and education, we aimed to improve the well-being of our citizens and lay the foundation for long-term development. The current budget also includes provisions for clearing salary arrears and other outstanding obligations. Public financial management reforms remain central to achieving fiscal discipline and transparency. Aligned with Chapter 4 of the Peace Agreement, these reforms focus on improving financial accountability and resource allocation. States and administrative areas with support from development partners should accelerate the implementation of PFM reforms at subnational levels. Concurrently, the government is intensifying efforts to mobilize domestic revenues through improved tax compliance and enforcement. Enhanced revenue collection mechanism will provide required funding for development priorities, consolidating peace through socioeconomic stability. Peace transcends the mere absence of conflict. It embodies a state of social harmony, justice, and mutual respect among individuals and communities. A truly peaceful society is one where citizens have equitable access to jobs, education, healthcare, and essential services, thereby reducing the likelihood of violence and mitigating the factors that fuel social unrest. Achieving this vision requires addressing the root causes of instability and creating an environment where every South Sudanese can thrive. We recognize that the peace building is not an abstract goal, but a tangible process that demands coordinated efforts and measurable outcomes. As leaders, we remain steadfast in providing policies that prioritize equity and development while addressing the grievances that have historically divided our communities, enhancing revenue systems and streamlining exemptions. In line with ongoing public financial management reforms, the Ministry of Finance and Planning, in collaboration with South Sudan Revenue Authority, is advancing plans to strengthen revenue collection and management across all levels of government to reduce leakages and increase accountability. I call upon governors and chief administrators to champion and implement these reforms, ensuring a unified and efficient revenue system to raise adequate public revenues. Your Excellency, we are taking firm steps to close loopholes that contribute to non-compliance with our tax laws. The ministry has established the exemption board to ensure that tax exemptions are granted only when legal, such as for humanitarian or under EFSA, SOFA, and diplomatic arrangements, or any justified requests. This process reflects our commitment to maintaining a fair and transparent system that balances national obligation with fiscal responsibility. The proliferations of checkpoints within and between states and administrative areas has significantly increased the cost of doing business in the country. These obstacles hinder economic activity and deter investment, undermining our collective development goal. I urge concerned authorities to take immediate action to remove these checkpoints, thereby fostering a more business-friendly environment and enhancing economic efficiency across the country. Transfers to states and administrative areas. Your Excellency, before in fiscal year 2023-2024, state and administrative areas receive consistent monthly block transfers and grants averaging SSP 2.5 billion. However, the dynamics shifted significantly following the 400% salary adjustment granted to central government employees. This increase, while necessary to address the long-standing concerns over compensation, inadvertently created disparities across different levels of government. The states and administrative areas, understandably, sought similar adjustment to ensure equitable treatment for their workers. These efforts to address pay disparities place unforeseen pressures on the state budgets, leading to financial constraint. The implementation of the salary increase triggered a dramatic rise in monthly expenditures at the subnational level, surging from SSP 2.5 billion a month to an average of SSP 18 billion. While some states and administrative areas also submitted requests for advance payment during this period, these requests were not the primary drivers of the overspending. Efficiency and accountability. As we pursue recovery and growth through reforms and policy intervention, we must address several inefficiencies that hinder our ability to maximize the impact of our limited resources. One pressing area of concern is the procurement of government vehicles and other assets. Significant sums of money are spent wastefully, with vehicles often purchased at inflated costs. This practice diverts critical funds away from priority sectors such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure, undermining our broader national development agenda. The Public Procurement and Disposal of Asset Authority is now established, and its regulations were recently enacted by the Transitional Legislative Assembly. It is high time we empowered it to ensure that transparent and cost-effective procurement of our capital asset at every level of government is achieved. Another challenge, Your Excellency, lies in the current approach to funding individual medical claims. While compassion appropriately drives these expenditures, the practice is financially unsustainable and inherently unfair, leaving the majority of South Sudanese without access to adequate healthcare services. Best practice shows that investing in a comprehensive, well-structured healthcare system is far more effective in delivering equitable and quality healthcare. Addressing these issues requires a shift from individual interventions to a system-wide approach that benefits all citizens. As the steward of your public funds, I am a strong proponent of redirecting these misallocated resources into a comprehensive national health plan, starting with our public sector employees and their families. This scheme can be expanded into an affordable universal health care insurance system available to all our citizens. Such an investment would not only enhance access to quality health care, but also create jobs, stimulate economic growth, and improve public well-being. I urge all of us as leaders and stakeholders to embrace this reform agenda, which we plan to prioritize and support in close coordination with the National Ministry of Health. Economic independence and self-reliance. South Sudan economy remains heavily dependent on external assistance, particularly in critical sectors such as health, education, water resource management, and humanitarian aid. This reliance stems from complex challenges, including devastating legacy of war, decades of underdevelopment, ongoing economic instability, internal conflicts, and the far-reaching effects of natural disasters. While foreign aid continues to play a crucial role in addressing immediate needs and supporting development, we must confront the limitations it imposes on our long-term growth. Foreign assistance, though vital, often come with unintended consequences. It can reduce government accountability, undermine local capacities, and perpetuate economic uncertainty, leaving the country vulnerable to external shocks. To secure a brighter future for South Sudan, we must reimagine our approach, shifting from relying on donor support to fostering sustainable homegrown solutions. The example of Rwanda, Botswana, and South Korea demonstrate that countries once heavily reliant on aid, can transform into self-reliant, thriving economies through deliberate actions, reform, and collective determination. Your Excellency, I call upon all the stakeholders to unite in promoting a culture of self-reliance and economic independence for our people. This vision requires bold reforms, investment in local capacities, and an unwavering commitment to fiscal discipline and transparency. By working together to build robust institutions, diversifying our economy, and prioritizing sustainable development, we can lay the foundation for a future where we can stand strong and independent, thriving on our resources and productivity. In conclusion, I want to assure you that despite the severe economic challenges facing our country, we are steadfast in our efforts to ensure adequate funding for subnational levels. By increasing intergovernmental transfers, we aim to drive critical investment in priority areas. Physical decentralization remains a cornerstone of our governance, serving as a pathway to achieving sustainable peace, stability, and economic growth. To this end, we are fully committed to strengthening the legal and policy framework that define the roles, responsibilities, and revenue sharing mechanisms among the national, state, and county levels. Together, we can build the foundation for a prosperous, harmonious South Sudan. By working collectively and with determination, we can create stable, thriving economy where every citizen has the opportunity to succeed and contribute to the nation's progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Finance. Now,